Okay, let's go. Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight I am super excited to bring to you, after 3 crazy years, the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman and Samhain Collector's Pack. Yes, this is finally here. We are going to take a look at it and the figures inside. This is going to be so cool. Now, we have been following this for 3 years, and if you'd like to figure out what this is all about, check out my playlist of previous videos where I talk about how these came to be. But tonight, we are looking at these figures. Now, if you didn't catch my unboxing video, you can check that out and see how I got this awesome set shipped to me in the mail. Now, for a quick overview of the packaging, the figures do come in a large package. It is designed to look like the Ghostbusters firehouse. On the front, you have a nice picture of the Ghostbuster firehouse. You have a beautiful Mondo sticker down on the bottom. Taking a look at the top of the box, you have graphics that look like the top of the building with some air conditioning units. Not too bad. On the bottom of the box, you have some credits for the box and a barcode. And taking a look at this barcode is not really going to help you find this in the store because this was an online exclusive and it's gone. Okay, you only had a limited time to buy this, and unfortunately that time has passed, so if you want it, you're going to have to find it on the secondary markets. Coming to the sides of the box are the same. They have the Real Ghostbusters logo there on a brick wall, and moving to the bottom, you got some credits for the box that say Peter Venkman and Samhain exclusive figure set. You have Mondo, 1/12 scale, 1/12 scale collectible figures in multiple languages, and that is on both the sides of the boxes. And finally, coming to the back of the box, you have the back of the firehouse. You have the beautiful logo, the Real Ghostbusters there. You have like a skull and crossbones. You have the back door. You have Slimer. You have a little eyeball trash can monster, and then you have the awesome people responsible for this product. Alex Brewer being on top because he was the concept and sculptor, and he is the main man responsible for getting us these figures. Thank you very much again, Alex Brewer. Further down on the back of the box, you see includes 2 figures and accessories. And finally, we have this notification that this box contains collector's models, and these are not toys. But contrary to popular belief, I bet a whole bunch of people are going to act like they're toys. And finally, coming back to the front of the box, we are not finished looking at this awesome presentation. Now, the front of the box does have 2 flaps, and when you open them up, you get to see some awesome figures. Yes, well, you can't really see the figures. They are wrapped in tissue, but you can see that on the sides of the packaging and the flaps, you have the inside doors of the firehouse, and around the borders of the figures, you do have some more graphic details of what the inside of the firehouse looks like. And if you remove the figures, boom, there is a backdrop in the box that looks like the actual inside of the firehouse. Taking a closer look, you can see some stairwells and Janine's desk and some windows and the fire pole. And that is really cool. And it is huge. This thing is so wide. It will take up an entire wall of my review station. And this is cool. And we'll have the figures in front of it in just a moment. This is something that we did not get to see when I did the unboxing, but we will see it again later tonight. That is the packaging and the figures in the packaging. But I don't want to see the figures in the packaging. I can't see the figures in the packaging anyway. So let's get them out and see if these Mondo figures were worth the wait. And here we have the awesome Mondo figures out of the packaging, and these figures are magnificent. Oh my goodness, look how great these figures look, especially in front of that awesome backdrop that comes in the packaging. Wow! Alright, so we have 3 awesome figures here, if you count Slimer. First off, we have the evil Samhain, who comes in at 8.5 inches tall, and he has some alternate heads and hands coming over. We have little Slimer, he's so cute. And finally, Peter Venkman, who comes in at 6.5 inches tall. And oh my goodness, they look super great. And when we do a review with 2 or more figures in this case, I have to decide which one to take a look at first. And tonight, we are going to start with Dr. Peter Venkman.
So, Peter, have a nice day? Oh, yeah. Argued with a hat and a coat rack. Really? Yep, nothing new. How's about you?
And coming in real close on Peter Venkman's head, this is a beautiful, beautiful head sculpt. I love this thing. It is so cartoony. Oh my goodness, look at that hair. It's molded in all sorts of ways. A nice dark brown. And I love this curl here at the front. That is so Peter Venkman from the real Ghostbusters. Love it. So coming down his face is nice, fleshy tone. You got some nice eyebrows there. Some very nice eyes painted in there. You got white with a black pupil. Very simple. I love the way this looks. Nice nose, very smirky smile there. You got a little tune mark here at the chin. That is beautiful. Coming to the side profile, got the ears molded. This looks great. I love what Mondo did with Peter Venkman here. Coming to the back of the head, nothing that you wouldn't expect. It is all nice and brown still. Looks like you got a lighter wash here at the top, but that is really neat. All right, let's go back to the front. Zoom out a little bit so we can see his shoulders. And first off, he is in his traditional brown jumpsuit for the TV show. He does have a turquoise blue or green collar with a black undershirt there. You can see that. That is cool. Scrolling out some more so we can see his upper torso. That is just beautiful. Beautiful. And you do have some pockets molded into the top of his jumper, and you got the line going straight down, so that is good. Shoulders nice and brown. You got the Ghostbuster symbol on his right shoulder, coming down to some nice elbow pads, and they are a light gray coming down to a dark gray for the pad itself. That is beautiful. And the brown continues down through the forearm until it comes to the turquoise cuff. That is good. Then you got your hands, which are nice and fleshy toned. Very nice hands. Look a little thick for hands, but he's based on a cartoon character, so I'm not going to complain too much about it, but that is pretty neat. Coming to his belt, he does have the first belt, which is a nice gray belt with a lot of holes in there and light trim right here at the buckle. And then he has his little key holder or whatever this is. It's nice brown and gold, and then the latch itself is gold. I think this may be where you hang the Neutrino on. That is cool. He also has this little block thing right here, which is done in awesome coloring. Let's zoom in, see if we can see that. That is cool. Never really understood what that was, but it was on his belt. You got a little bit of yellow and green and black, and that is an awesome colored thing. Coming around, the belt does go all the way around, nothing else attached to it. And then you get down to his legs. Basically, the crotch section all the way down, the legs are just going to be that standard brown until you get to the cuff at the bottom of the pants, and that is your turquoise blue-green. And then that will come to the boots. These are nicely done boots. They're dark charcoal gray, and then you have some shoelaces molded and painted in there. That is really cool. And coming finally to the bottom of the feet, you do have some copyright material, TM 2025 CPT Holdings Inc. and Mondo, and then you got some peg holes if you want to post them anywhere. Interesting thing about these peg holes are they're on the front of the foot. Most action figures will have their peg hole on the back heel, but that is just an interesting little note of difference from most of the action figures that I have seen and played with. The back of the figure is nothing that you would not expect, but this is a beautiful, beautiful sculpted and molded Peter Venkman. Looks exactly as if he stepped out of the cartoon and will be going onto your shelf. Wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful figure. Moving on. And for our articulation, starting with Peter's head can go around 360 degrees. He can look down, he can look up a little bit, he can wiggle waggle left and right, so there is a lot of cool head motion. I like that. Coming to his shoulders, they are on a slight butterfly, so you can bring them in and back, so that is very cool, but very subtle. Coming to his shoulders can come up from the body and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees. That is nice. There is no bicep rotation, but he does have a 360 degree forearm rotation, which is connected to his elbow bend, and the elbow will come up at a nice 90 degrees, if not slightly more than 90 degrees. I like that. And the elbow pad is movable too. It will go around 360 degrees if you want to move it for some reason, which you don't really need to, and that's just an interesting point of articulation. Coming down to the hand can rock around 360 degrees, and it is on a ball hinge, so it can go in and out, up or down, depending on where you have the hinge positioned, and that is cool. Coming to the center of the body, let's move out just a hair. He does not have any type of ab crunch up here, but he does have waist articulation 360 degrees, and it does feel like it could wiggle waggle a little bit, so that is pretty cool. Coming to the legs can kind of come up a little bit, not too much, but that is good. And what's funny about the legs is it feels like instead of coming straight up and down, they're kind of wanting to go at an angle up. And then you can get some out to the side, not too much there. And back, not much any at all because the butt gets in the way. So that is pretty standard. Thigh articulation, I don't think that's a thigh rotation as much as it is just me trying to move the joint. So I'd say no thigh rotation. Coming down to the knee bend, he does got a pretty good knee bend, not 90 degrees, kind of like 45, I guess. And that is built onto a lower leg rotation, 360 degrees there. And coming down to his foot type boot cut right here at the turquoise cuff can go around 360 degrees, so that is good. And his foot is actually hinged, so the boot can go up and then down, and you can rock it left and you can rock it right, so that is cool. It'll probably go all the way around the world too, but now it's interesting about the foot design. You can see this is not a solid foot. Zoom in. This is kind of like a sole of a foot, and then it's connected to this part, and that's a solid piece, and the heel is basically just comes up at the back like that. I think that might actually make the foot move a little better, so that is a pretty neat way of doing foot articulation. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but anyway, that is Peter and his articulation. Legs aren't very articulate, but the arms are, and the upper body is, and it's what it is, I guess, and it's not too bad. He can get his arms going and his waist, so really, he doesn't really run around much. I mean, they did run, but as posing wise, you're not going to want him to have really back kicks or anything like that. So I think it's good for what it is. All right. And that is Peter's articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, Peter comes with this alternate head, and it is really nicely done. You got the same kind of hairstyle with the big swoosh in the front, but now instead of a happy-go-lucky expression, he has this more somber, annoyed, ticked off kind of look with the frowny face and the eyebrow going up. So I think Slimer just took his cookies or a hot dog or something. So you can see he's kind of ill, and this is a really cool alternate head, and you can see that there is so much expression and feeling in this face. All right, and that is Peter's alternate head. And Peter's next accessory is a pair of black gloves, and these are really nice and thick. We have seen this type of glove before, and it comes in 2 pieces. One for the cuff, where you would just stick this on the figure first, and then you will plug the hand in, and that will give the illusion that he is wearing a pair of gloves. And these are really nice, they're really thick, and I do appreciate the inclusion of them, but to be honest, I'm never going to have Peter with these gloves on, so this is the first and only time that you will probably see them on the figure in my reviews. But anyway, it's nice, they're cool, and that is Peter's gloves. And that will bring us to the big one, the Proton Pack accessory. And this is beautiful, very well sculpted and molded. The paint is just beautiful. This thing is popping in all sorts of directions and angles. Wow! So you got the base pack, which is a dark navy blue. You got a red button here. You have a yellow button here. The colors in here, you got some yellows and reds. You got some hooks for the ghost trap. Coming to the middle of the pack, you got a power level gauge here with the orange, and then you have the yellow in there with some grays and some blues and some reds and some whites. Wow, I just love all the detail that they have in this pack. Now you got your collider here, I think that was, and sometimes this is painted red, but this is just black. So yeah, if customizers, you want to do that, you can. You got your bar here, which is a nice bluish gray, and then coming to the bottom, you do got a little panel here, and that is unique and different. You got some orange and blue and red buttons there. Then you got the hose coming around. Now this is a pretty sturdy hose. It does feel kind of rubbery, so I don't know. This has always been a point I've always been concerned with my Ghostbusters, is if this wasn't just like a string or anything, it would probably get damaged or wear and tear, and eventually the connection point would pop off. But this feels really good and sturdy, and it is connected to the Neutrino wand, and we could pull this off because it's just attached right here at this little hook at the top. Get it off of there. Oh, very gently, very gently. Okay, so there, you got this little hook here, and you got a little red detail in there, and it just slides in there. And taking a look at the Neutrino wand, let's zoom in. Really cool. Wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful Neutrino wand, and I really do wish that the HasLab would give us a replica of this Proton Pack like they did the movie pack. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. You do get some brown for the handle, and this is your firing button. Nice yellow and red. I love that. And you got some knobs. Cool detail in there. Coming up to the top of the Neutrino wand, you got some more brown for the handhold here, and coming down to a nice sharp point for the proton beam to come out of. Nice color here. And on the other side, you got some different colors and this little hook here. And I think this is what hooks into that little thing on Peter's belt. I think you would slide this into there, and so he could like hold the wand without having to store it back on the pack. So that is really cool. I love this thing. This is just so neat in the way it comes together. I always thought this was a cool design and concept for a weapon or accessory. But anyway, so on the other side, you have some nice light blue for the backing. You do have a little panel back here. That's just a graphic. It's painted there. And then you have the 2 straps that go over Peter's shoulders, and this middle section, which makes up the secondary belt, and it's done in a nice dark gray with a buckle of light gray and red, and it connects by taking the bottom parts off here, and these will just slide over Peter's head and shoulders, and that is really cool. And what's also cool about this is if you bring Peter in, this doesn't just sit on his back, you know, and just clip in. No, there is some actual magnets that are in either here or in Peter's back. Probably both. You got metal on one side or the other, but if you just sit here and have it stick there, it sticks right onto Peter. That is cool. It can hold on. It's magnetic. That is neat. So this pack is not going anywhere. You can just put it on over his shoulders like this, and it will come down. I'll get a picture of it. But anyway, that is so cool. That is a neat concept that they incorporated into this pack. And this is just an awesome, awesome accessory. And that is going to be Peter's Proton Pack. And that will bring us to the Ghost Trap. And this is a beautiful, beautiful accessory. It looks so good. So it is your standard rectangular ghost trap, and it has a lot of cool detail on it. You do got some silver markings and a dial here and the little bitty cylinder things on the side. I don't really know what they're called, even though I did a review on the 2-in-the-box one. Oops, sorry about that, dropped it. On the front you have the caution motif with the yellow and the black. You got a little yellow up there, and that will come down to the actual handle of the trap, which is done in a nice gray, and you can hold that. Underneath the handle you got a nice little red button there. That is cool. On the other side you got some more molded details and painted details, some silver, some red, some buttons. That is beautiful. And on the end of the ghost trap you do have some detail here in this little compartment, and we'll come back to that in a minute. On the bottom you just got a little molded recess area which will attach to the pack, and that is connected to this awesome bendy wire, and that will bring you down to the foot pedal. And this is really neat. You got a nice foot pedal molded there with some light grays and the blues and the blue and red buttons, and that is neat. And stretching this thing out, it measures to be about 9 inches long if you want to spread it all the way out, because you'll need to do that, because you don't want to be too close when the trap opens. Never look into the trap ray. So that is really cool. And it does roll up, and you can store it on the side of the proton pack, which is awesome. I love that. Look how good that looks. Anyway, coming back down. Now, how the ghost trap works is, like, on the yellow and black section will actually detach from the trap. You'll put this in the containment unit, and it will come out like this. Wow, look at that. It comes right out, and then you have a separate piece coming to it. It's just hollow on the other side, and it just slides right into this port. So that is neat. But there is an accessory for the accessory. So if you are so inclined and you want to reenact that scene from that episode, they have given us an alternate trap filler, which includes a Samhain being sucked into the ghost trap. Wow, look at this thing scrolling back out a little bit. That is so neat. You can see him. No, never again. And you got some nice molded plastic details down in yellow, and that is shooting up. That looks like the energy from the trap sucking him in, and is actually quite movable. You can actually move this around if you're so inclined to give it different areas. The piece itself is done in an awesome orange for the head, some yellow for the eyes, nice green for the stem. You got a black nose, you got an open mouth with some yellow teeth, and his little hands are and you can see the nails are painted. That is such a cool attention to detail. And you got his robe. It goes from a black to an actual light blue as the energy is sucking him down, and he's turning into like the smaller versions of the ghost because he's getting sucked into the trap. Oh my goodness, look at the back. That is so cool. And yes, this will actually fit into the ghost trap. So we will slide this in. This is the first time I've done it, so I'm sure it worked. Yeah, there it is. Slides right in there, and he's like, no! That is so cool. I love that. No! Oh, he fell over. But Yeah, that is nice. And this whole thing, this whole trap setup is gorgeous. And this is just the icing on the cake, cherry on top even, if you will, because wow, this is cool. And this comes with your standard set. You don't even have to have the Samhain to get this. And if you didn't get Samhain, you'd still get Samhain in the standard single version of Peter. So wow, that is really cool. And this has been what your ghost trap looks like and how it functions. Stand up. And the next thing we have is this proton stream, and it is really cool. It's done in a clear plastic with a little bit of blue highlight in there, so that is neat. A little pointy here at the end, and on this end it's round, and it will just peg into the end of the neutrino wand, and that is really neat. And it looks good, I will admit it does, but I think I have the same argument that a lot of other people have, in the fact that it shouldn't have been blue, it should have been more of a yellow, because that looks more accurate to the Ghostbuster cartoons. But you know, it's blue, you could paint it yellow if you want, I guess, but yeah, for what it is, it still looks awesome, and I'm very happy to have it regardless of what color it is. And for Peter's final accessory, he comes with this little figure stand. And it's nice, it's round. You got two pegs sticking up there that can go into his feet to get a little bit of copyright detail on there if you're interested in that. And yeah, he'll fit right on there and keeps him sturdy. And I think that's a good thing, because he might get a little top heavy with the proton pack and the beam shooting out of there. So yay, I like it. Stands are always good to have. And the last thing Peter comes with is Slimer, and this is such a cute little figure. If you're going to do anything with the real Ghostbusters, you gotta throw Slimer in there. He was such an integral part of that show, much more than he was in the movies. In fact, in the later seasons, they renamed the show Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters. But anyway, take a look at him. He is great from the top of his head to his bottom. He is approximately 2 inches tall. He is able to mount on this nice green stand, and it is nicely done with a lot of detail that makes it look like ectoplasm, and he's just like just oozing. And he can move around the stand if he's on it, and wiggle waggle left and right. That is so neat. But he can also come off the stand, so you can see the stand in itself, and that's really nice. On the bottom of the stand, you do get some copyright. It says Mondo and TM 2025 CPT Holdings Inc. All rights reserved, so that is cool. And he does have movable arms, and the arms can go around 360 degrees. They kind of wiggle a little bit, not too much. He has orange eyes, a nice little nose, and a huge open mouth with some teeth and a tongue sticking out. That is really nice. I love the way this guy looks, and that is cool. We'll put him back on his stand. And to compare him with the Diamond Select Slimer, we have this one, and they look pretty good and comparable to each other. The Diamond Select one is obviously a little bigger, and yeah, I don't know which would scale best with Peter. So let's go ahead and bring him in so we can see the size comparison. And let's see, we're gonna scroll out just a little bit so we can get up there. Okay, so you got little Slimer here. That is a good scale. I think that actually is appropriate. But is the other one appropriate too? He looks maybe a little big. I think maybe this would be a good scale for the movie Slimer, and this is the regular series Slimer. So you could use both of them, but you don't really need this one. But if you're interested in seeing how they look, there you go. That is a pretty cool comparison, and I love this little Slimer. He is so cool. All right, and that is going to be Peter and his accessories. Accessories, yay! All right, Moving on. And for the real Ghostbusters comparison, here you have the Mondo Peter with the original Peter that came out in the 80s and the Diamond Select Peter. And these are all some really cool Peters, and I'm very happy to have them all because the real Ghostbusters was a great show and I loved watching it growing up, and I just had to have some figures for it. So, getting the original out of the way, I mean, he was good for the time, but no. We are now into adult collectibles, and that is what these two are. And looking at these two, the Diamond Select on the left does a few things better than the Mondo. Now, when it comes to sculpt and mold, Mondo blows it out of the water. But when it comes to articulation, the Diamond Select beats the Mondo in spades because it has all these different articulation points. But the Diamond Select is also a 7-inch figure, and it has a little more space to work with and add articulation joints. But looking at them for the paints and such, I think the paints are relatively equal. There is a lot of different colors on this figure, and it looks really nice. Coming around to the side so we can look at them from profile pictures. The proton pack on the Diamond Select is going to be bigger, obviously, because it's a 7-inch figure. The Retrono look very similar in design and color scheme. I like that. Coming around to the back of the proton packs together, I do think the Diamond Select's colors are a little brighter and more vibrant. Not that the Mondo's colors are off or bad, it's just for some reason I think the Mondo colors are a little more muted. And coming around to the next side where you can see the Ghost Trap. In this case, the Ghost Trap is a little brighter for the Mondo as opposed to the Diamond Select. So yeah, that is pretty neat. And each of these are, uniquely different. So they both look okay. The Diamond Select was just regular Ghostbusters repainted with different heads from the classic movie Ghostbusters, whereas the Mondo specifically is designed and colored to be the real Ghostbusters. So if I really had to choose between the two, I would definitely go with the Mondo. But again, that's just my opinion. You may think the Diamond Select is the better figure. Ultimately, you're gonna have to choose what you'd like in your collection. And that is going to be a comparison with Peters. And for comparison with a few other figures that we review on this channel, here you have the Mondo Peter Venkman with the NECA Leonardo, the Jakks Pacific Mario, the Jakks Pacific Homer Simpson, Art Asylum Captain Benjamin Sisko, the Super 7 Lion-O, and the DC Essentials, which is the equivalent to DC Multiverse Batman. And these are some awesome looking characters. This is my childhood right here, ladies and gentlemen, and I love it. They look so great together. Sometimes I wish there was this multiverse cartoon where everybody could get together and have a lot of great time. Something like Robot Chicken, but less perverse. Alright, and that is gonna be your comparisons. Moving on. And that will wrap it up for Dr. Peter Venkman and Slimer. And now it's time to move on to the spirit of Halloween, the evil Samhain.
All things of the night are mine, on this night more than any other. For I am Samhain. I am Halloween.
And coming in real close to take a look at Samhain's head sculpt. Now this is a beautifully done head sculpt. It's huge. It's ghastly. It's a giant pumpkin. And you can see his little stem sticking up here and out to the right. And the head is done in a very beautiful orange. The top of the head is a darker orange, and as it goes down, you get to your standard orange, and it comes down to some very sinister black eyes and a black triangle nose and an open mouth with some molded teeth in there, and he just looks evil. You got a lot of cool little wrinkle details around the mouth and the eyes to give him that really sinister look, and I love this thing. The entire head also has molded detail to be broken up into sections just like a regular pumpkin would have, and that is beautiful. Coming around to the back of the head, we cannot see it because it is obstructed by Samhain's huge collar, and the collar is really nice and comes up at points, and that is cool. As we zoom out at the front of the figure, we can come down and see his torso. His robe does go all the way down, and it is done in this kind of reddish brown color, and there is a darker wash in it. You have some nice molded arms here up at the upper arms, and then at the bottom of the forearm, the robe flares out, and you have these awesome little points down here right before you get to this horrible clawed hand, and this hand is gruesome. You have bony little orange fingers with sharp talon-like nails painted in yellow. That is just creepy and icky and odd and weird, and both hands are just molded very, very good. I love this thing. Coming all the way down, he comes basically straight down into a swirl and a base of robe going out into points in all different directions. Now, he has no feet, and if you were to look at the bottom, it is a solid piece, and you do have the Mondo logo there, and you have some copyright material, which is really good, and this is such a cool and solid piece. I can't get over how heavy this guy is. Now, the box did tell us that these were not toys, they were basically models, and he does feel like a model and a statue of sorts. He is so heavy, and he is just beautiful. I love the way that this Samhain looks. The high collar, the robe, it is such a simple design, but yet so effective at bringing out the character of Samhain. This is awesome, and that is what Samhain looks like. Moving on. And for our articulation, Samhain's head can go around 360 degrees. He can look down just a little bit. He can't look up because the head can't get past the collar and to go back. He does have some wiggly waggly, so that is really neat and creepy. Going to the shoulders. Shoulders can come up from the body, not too much, but that's not a bad range. Then back down again, and then you'll go around 360 degrees. There is no bicep rotation, but you do have a nice 90-degree elbow, and that gets you a lot of good range there. And that is built into a forearm rotation of 360 degrees, coming down to his bony, ghastly hands, and they will go around 360 degrees, and they are hinged, so they can hinge in and out, up and down, depending on where you have the hinge located, and that is super creepy. Anyway, coming to the center of the body, he has a upper diaphragm rotation, 360 degrees there, and you do get some wiggle waggle out of it, up and down, left and right, and that is really cool. And that is it. You can come all the way down to the bottom of his base, and it is just a solid piece. There is no give or twists or turns in it, and yeah, that's it. But I think what he has up in this upper body is definitely enough to make him worthwhile, and he can get into just so many creepy poses with just his upper torso that I love it. I'm not even mad that there is no lower body articulation. This is just great because most of the time he'll be flying around anyway, and all I need to move is his upper body. And this is just awesome. I love this guy, even the limited articulation. All right, moving on. And for accessories, Samhain comes with 2 alternate heads, and they are just as creepy as the head he comes packed with. Now, these are different in the fact that they have lighted eyes. They have yellow eyes with a little dot here for this one, same black nose, and this is Happy Samhain. You do not want Samhain to be happy because that's not good. But he has this nice ghastly smile, and his teeth are all showing like, ha 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 ha, Halloween is forever, ha ha. And yeah, that's kind of creepy. And then the second one also has yellow eyes, but this is more of an angry Samhain. This is where you want him to be angry because his plans are failing. And his eyes are yellow here, but there's no pupils or anything. He has this black triangle nose, and his mouth is all kind of open. You can see his ugly teeth, and that is just creepy. And yeah, these are great. And what's really interesting, these are very heavy for heads, but I guess they should be because they're very large, but they feel almost like half a pound each, like you're throwing a little baseball. And they're not exactly the same sculpt and mold. They are slightly different. You can see the stem on this one's a little thicker and wider at the top than it is here, but they still have the great effect when you have him on him, and he looks just ghastly. And man, this is such a great figure. I love this Samhain. I really can't believe we've never gotten a actual action figure of Samhain before, and this is just too cool. And that is his alternate heads. And finally, for accessories, Samhain comes with a couple of alternate hands. He has an alternate right hand that's open, and it looks like it's reaching out towards you. It's sculpted really nicely with the sharp claws at the end, and that is cool. And then he has an alternate left hand, which is only slightly open, and I don't know, it looks like it could hold things, but he doesn't have any items to hold. It's only slightly different than the left hand he comes equipped with, so I don't know. It's just another hand, so hey, you can do stuff with it if you want, and that is cool. And that is going to be Samhain's accessories. Moving on. And for comparison with the only other monsters I could come up with, here you have a Samhain with the Super 7 Ultimates Mumra, the Diamond Select Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and the NECA Pizza Monster. And these are some very big, large baddies that can match up to Samhain's stature, I guess. And yeah, these are really cool and creepy guys, and I think they look great. All right, moving on. And the last thing Mondo gave us in this incredible set of figures is a large sheet of cutout cardboard ghost, and this is awesome. You have the Fearsome Flush, you have the Bug-Eyed Ghost, you have Batwing Eyeball Ghost, and you have Scuba Ghost. I don't know where Batwing Eyeball or Scuba Ghost come from, but the Fearsome Flush and the Bug-Eyed Ghost were awesome toys that we grew up with, and you could pop these out and put them on the stand, and they could either act as Samhain's army of evil ghosts, or they could be target practice for Peter. That looks really great. I love these things. It's such a cute little simple idea, and I think it adds so much to this set as it is. And Mondo didn't have to do this, and I'm very much appreciative of this little pack-in extra. This is great. And that is going to be the entirety of the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman, and Samhain collector set. And this was just amazing. Moving on. And this has been the Mondo, the real Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman and Samhain collector's set. And oh my gosh, guys, this was an awesome set. I loved everything about this set. It was well worth the 3-year wait it took to get to us. Now, it's not perfect, and I did have a few nitpicks and concerns, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But first off, wow, I have never handled a Mondo figure, and I know this isn't the standard Mondo figures. They're used to dealing in 12-inch figures, and these are 6 inches. But my goodness, I could definitely tell the difference in quality and plastics and heft of these figures compared to like Hasbro or NECA or Super 7. These are a step above, and you can see why they cost so much when you get these in hand. I am just amazed at the beauty of these figures. All right, enough gushing. Let's get down to the brass taxes about them. Starting with Peter, the sculpt, the mold, oh my God, insanely accurate, and it is beautiful. I love the colors. It looks exactly like he did in the cartoon. I mean, I almost feel like I'm holding a cartoon when I mess with this thing. His articulation is a little disappointing. He can't really move his legs that well, but his arms and his torso is really good. His feet are good. It's just, for some reason, they didn't want to give him a lot of leg bend. His accessories, the gloves, I could have done without, truthfully. I didn't really need those. The alternate ticked off head, that was pretty fun. And what's interesting is these heads were really easy to change. They're not as hard as switching out a Hasbro Legends head or a Super 7 head or any of the other heads. These came off really easy and they went back on very smoothly. The Proton Pack was beautiful. It was well sculpted, well molded. I love the colors in it. The magnets were a stroke of genius. That really helped sit the pack onto the figure's back. Now, it is a little finicky trying to get the little harnesses attached for the second belt to the back of the pack. Sometimes I got one side in and the other side popped out, so I put the other side in and then the first side I got popped out. But once you finally got it in place, it looked really good. I thought the belt was a little high on the stomach, but I could just be not having it sit right, so that could just be my error. The hose attached to the Neutrona wand, I am a bit worried about. It's always been a concern with these Ghostbusters that hose is actually material instead of something string that wouldn't break and that flow freely. So that is still something I would always use caution with, but there's no real way of getting around doing that. The ghost trap is another kind of concern of mine. I love the way it looks in every detail, and the interchangeable trap sections with the Samhain ghost, brilliant, excellent. It looks fantastic. I love it. And I think this is going to be a gimmick that carries through all 4 of the Ghostbusters. But the thing that concerns me about the trap is the wire. The wire is bendy, and that is good and bad, because the more you use it, the more it will weaken and eventually break. I've already got a stress mark at the base of the trap, as you can see here, and that's kind of concerning. But if you keep it rolled up and on this pack, it will look fine and it will stay good forever. And it is an awesome accessory. And the last thing Peter had was the proton stream. It was good. I liked the design of it. I just wish the color was yellow, but it works great. It looks great. And the color is just a nitpick. And if you have the Diamond Select Ghostbusters and are wondering if the streams are interchangeable, they are not. The Diamond Select Ghostbuster streams will not fit on the Mondo Neutrona wand. They are too big. Moving to Slimer, he was cute. He was adorable. I love the sculpted mold. I think he's a great size. I love his articulation of his little arms. His stand is good. Does look kind of gross if you kind of think about it too hard. And maybe a straight up and down stand without the effect. But the effect is really neat. I like the green plastic that they used with it. And having Slimer with Peter is really a great idea. And finally, coming to the villain of the piece, Samhain. I've always wanted a Samhain figure. I can't believe it took so long for them to give us one, and this one is awesome. He does have limited articulation, but the upper body just moves every which way. He is fantastic. You are not going to miss any of the lower body articulation, I promise you. And the alternate heads are great. The alternate hands, there's not really a lot of difference in the alternate hands. And he didn't really have any items that he used in the shows. He was featured in 2 shows, so there really wasn't anything to give him. But the way he looks, the mold, the sculpt, this thing is awesome. I love it. Definitely glad I sprung for the collector's pack, because Samhain has always been one of my favorite characters in the real Ghostbuster cartoon. And the last thing, they had this little pop-up ghost. I love that. That is a cool idea. That is a bonus, I think, and I don't think anybody's ever mentioned that. I never knew about it until I opened up the box, and there it was. The same with the backdrop. That was beautiful. You can see it here. It's just awesome. And these are the small details that the companies put in that I really appreciate. So Mondo, thank you very much for this awesome set. It is great. I love it. Can't recommend it enough. If you are looking for it, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The bad news is it was a timed exclusive set, so it is no longer available as Peter and Samhain unless you want to go to the secondary markets like eBay, in which case you can find it for about $300 to $400. Yeah, it's crazy. It's already going for that much. But I did say there was good news, and the good news is if you don't care much about Samhain, but you did like all the cool stuff that came with Peter, then you can pre-order Peter on the Mondo website for $101 right now. And that includes Peter, the proton pack, the trap, the blast effect, his gloves, his alternate head, Slimer, and the trap piece with Samhain going down in it. So you kind of do get Samhain, but it's not the big version. And that's it. That was the Mondo, the Real Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman, and Samhain collector's set. And it was great. Highly recommend it. Hope you can find it if you're looking. Happy hunting. And that's it, guys. That's the video. Have a great night. And until next time, keep playing.